This is the Synthetic Signal Report for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, in the afternoon. Today's analysis examines a critical privacy vulnerability in Firefox that links private Tor identities and the unveiling of Google's 8th-generation Tensor Processing Units designed for the agentic era. We look at SpaceX's $60 billion deal with the coding startup Cursor and Apple's patch for an iOS flaw that allowed law enforcement to extract deleted signal messages. This report also covers the rise of no-tech tractors from an Alberta startup, a machine-verified framework for patent analysis using Lean 4, and a gene therapy trial in China that successfully restored hearing in 90% of participants. A significant privacy vulnerability has been identified in Firefox that allows websites to link a user's private Tor browser identities to their main, non-anonymous browser profile. The flaw centers on how IndexedDB, a system for storing large amounts of structured data in the browser, handles requests. Technically, the vulnerability exploits a lack of isolation in the underlying storage engine. When a user visits a site through the Tor browser and then visits the same site, or a site with shared tracking scripts, in a standard Firefox window, the IndexedDB system fails to maintain a unique barrier between these sessions. An attacker can use a specific sequence of database queries to generate a stable identifier that persists across both environments. This effectively de-anonymizes the Tor user by tethering their private traffic to their public hardware and IP address profile. This discovery is particularly disruptive because it undermines the fundamental promise of the Tor project, which relies on the Firefox codebase to provide a hardened, isolated environment for high-risk communications. Google has officially announced its 8th generation of Tensor Processing Units, specifically the TPU-8T and the TPU-8P. These chips are being marketed as the foundation for the agentic era, where artificial intelligence moves from static responses to autonomous, goal-oriented agents. The technical architecture of these new chips focuses on massive memory bandwidth and low-latency interconnects. The TPU-8P, or Pro version, is designed to support models with trillions of parameters that require constant, real-time updates to their internal state as they execute complex tasks. Google is shifting the focus from raw flops to agentic efficiency, which measures how quickly a model can iterate through a reasoning loop. This development suggests that the next phase of infrastructure will prioritize the ability of a model to interact with external tools and environments without the traditional bottlenecks of off-chip memory access. SpaceX has entered a deal to acquire the artificial intelligence coding startup Cursor for $60 billion. This move comes as SpaceX prepares for one of the largest initial public offerings in history. Cursor has gained a reputation for its highly integrated AI coding environment, which allows developers to automate complex refactoring and code-based navigation. SpaceX intends to integrate Cursor's agentic coding technology directly into its engineering workflows for Starlink and the Starship program. By automating the production and verification of mission-critical code, SpaceX aims to accelerate its launch cadence and reduce the human labor costs associated with maintaining massive satellite constellations. This deal represents a strategic consolidation of frontier software tools by a dominant hardware player, signaling that the future of aerospace engineering will be as much about automated code generation as it is about physical manufacturing. Apple has released a critical security update to resolve a flaw in iOS that allowed law enforcement and forensic investigators to extract deleted messages from the Signal app. This is an update to previous reports regarding the use of specialized extraction tools by police departments to bypass disappearing message settings. The vulnerability was not in the Signal encryption itself, but in how the iOS file system handled the deletion of database records. When a message was deleted within Signal, the underlying operating system would occasionally move the data to a temporary storage area or fail to overwrite the physical sectors on the disk. Forensic tools could then reconstruct these ghost messages. The latest update enforces a more aggressive secure erase protocol for third-party messaging apps, ensuring that when a user deletes a message, the data is immediately and permanently unrecoverable at the hardware level. This is a signal from the future. An Alberta-based startup called Wheelfront has begun selling no-tech tractors for half the price of traditional models from companies like John Deere. This is an under-the-radar development because it represents a deliberate detaching of industrial hardware. These tractors contain zero electronic control units, no GPS tracking, and no proprietary software locks. The disruption here is economic and legal. By removing the digital layer, Wheelfront has bypassed the right to repair conflicts that have plagued the agricultural sector. Farmers can repair these machines with standard mechanical tools, avoiding the expensive service-only software requirements of modern smart tractors. This move suggests a growing market for analog-first industrial equipment in an era where software complexity has become a liability for reliability and ownership. In the frontier of artificial intelligence, researchers have unveiled a new framework for patent analysis that uses Lean 4, a formal verification language. This pipeline combines large language models with machine-checkable certificates to ensure that patent claims are consistent and do not overlap with existing intellectual property. By using dependent type theory, the system can mathematically prove that a new invention does not violate the freedom to operate for existing patents, providing a level of legal certainty that human review cannot match. Simultaneously, in the world of biology, a gene therapy trial in China has reported that 90% of children treated for a rare form of inherited deafness showed significant hearing improvement. The treatment uses a viral vector to deliver a functional copy of the OTEOF gene directly into the inner ear. This trial provides some of the strongest evidence to date that single-dose gene therapies can permanently correct sensory deficits, marking a shift from managing symptoms to structural biological cures. The community is currently tracking a critical vulnerability in JellyStat, a statistics app for Jellyfin. The flaw allows authenticated users to read any database table and execute commands on the host system. Administrators are urged to upgrade to the latest version immediately. In the cloud sector, there is significant chatter regarding a Google Cloud customer who received an $18,000 bill due to a forgotten public API key. An attacker used the key to make 60,000 requests, bypassing a $1,400 spending cap. This highlights a persistent issue where cloud providers fail to enforce hard stops on spending when API keys are compromised. In security tips, researchers are encouraging developers to harden containers by enforcing a read-only root file system using the read-only flag. This prevents attackers from downloading scripts or modifying configurations if they gain an initial foothold. Finally, Sony AI's autonomous ping-pong robot, named Ace, has made history by beating top-level human players. Unlike previous versions, Ace uses a high-speed vision system and reinforcement learning to adapt to the spin and velocity of a human opponent in real time. This concludes the synthetic signal report for Wednesday,